For my intercultural speech, I interviewed Urban Ruiz, left-handed pitcher on the baseball team and one of my teammates. The main question I asked him, my thesis was, how is Hispanic culture different from the U.S., from their language they speak, the food they eat, and where they live their lives and their culture. The first main point was the language they speak. When I asked him this, he said when he got to America, he didn't know any English at all, and he was just in a classroom full of Americans who spoke English, and he had no clue what was going on. He said it was difficult at first, but the longer he was here, the easier it got, and about a year later, he could speak English well. He said the best way to learn English is to just be around people that speak it every day, and you just pick up on it. The second topic was how's the food they eat in Mexico different from the food they eat in America. And the first thing he said was it's a lot more spicy. Everything in Mexico has a lot more spice to it, and it's cooked with more peppers and things like that, more salt and stuff like that. Another thing he said about the food in Mexico was it's a lot less fast food and a lot more cooked meals. He said his mom would cook for him probably every night, whereas a lot of Americans, they go out and eat dinner, go to fast food for lunch, usually go to fast food for breakfast a lot of times, but in Mexico it's most of the meals are ate at home, and they don't really spend much money going out to eat. The food also is a lot healthier in Mexico. He said the things they eat, a lot of it's locally grown and produced there in the city where they live. He'll go to like a market and get food, whereas we go to Kroger or Walmart and get packaged food that's been processed and things like that. He just said it's a lot more healthy and it's better for you. The third thing that he said was different about Mexico was the way of life. He said in Mexico everything's a lot more simple day in and day out. They don't have as many amenities and luxuries as we do in America, but he said they get by and they enjoy life just as much as anybody else because they've learned to live with the things they're given. One thing that he mentioned though was in Mexico there's a really high crime rate, and he said you don't want to go into a bad part of town because you never know what could happen. There's a lot of murder, rape, a lot of drugs and stuff that are in Mexico, and there's not as much as many laws and as much police force that stops all this stuff. So it's pretty bad in Mexico. If you go to the wrong part of town, you never know what you're going to find. So he said if you're going to travel there, just make sure you stay on the main roads and just never go in an alley or anything like that. He said as far as the neighborhoods and the houses and stuff in Mexico, he said the houses in America are a lot nicer and a lot bigger on average. He said the average house in Mexico is like 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, living room, kitchen, things like that. They usually don't have a lot of things that houses in America have, like maybe like a pool and garages. They don't have like a lot of cars per family. They just have what they need to survive, and they just make do with it. One thing that he suggested is that he thinks that everybody should go visit Mexico because the culture is a lot different, but it's great to see the differences. And there's a lot of neat things in Mexico. It's a very old city, country, and there's just a lot of things to do, a lot of attractions to see, a lot of oceans to visit and stuff. So he just said if anybody gets a chance to go visit Mexico, he would highly recommend it.